It's always interesting to try something original for New Year's. This year I went to Holland, though most people who go there only ever seem to visit Amsterdam and the well-known attractions of that city. My journey took me north from Amsterdam to Friesland, where they have a very special way of spending New Year's. 3 hours later, I found myself at the end of the line in a small town in Friesland. It seemed a quiet place. Maybe there was nothing unusual here, after all. Luckily, my guide turned up, and we're soon off to explore the local culture. Just what could I expect to find in this place?
Yeah, you have to use the cliches like wooden shoes and tulips and windmills and but we don't have them anymore, wooden shoes.
What real typical Frisian is the cow. That's the Frisian cow.
The cows are these lovely black and white cows. They have something from like from a fairy tale book. They look good. They smell funny.
When the cows are in the field and you're amongst them, it's peace and quiet. Only the cows and you, and that's all.
Nah, it's not. There are not too many people living in this part of the Netherlands, so it's quite quiet here.
That was helpful and relevant information. But where was I exactly?
We are in Leeuwarden, capital of Friesland, and that, of course, is in Holland. Better said, in the Netherlands.
It's really flat here. You don't have any hills or. It's all, yeah, flat. And yeah, old buildings maybe, very old houses in the towns. And have, I don't know, the differences. Different language. Dutch is a very strange language to hear, I believe.
Friesland is different from Amsterdam, first of all, because it's a countryside. We don't have a big city. Second, we have a different language. And the language of real Frisian people is really important because it's different than Dutch. It's completely different. And people express themselves the best by their own language. And in Friesland, it's of course Frisian.
I like it here a lot because I really like the country. I really like it. I was born in Leiden, which is real Holland, the real Holland part of the Netherlands. And we moved up here when I was 4, so I was young enough to adapt and learn the language, which is different from Dutch, and really get to know the people and to get a small farmer boy myself.
People in Friesland have a much more own identity. People in Amsterdam think they are Holland itself. People in Friesland know they are not Holland itself.
Every time I'm on holiday in some other country, I love the mountains, I love the hills, I like it all, but after a week or two, I'd like to see more. I like to see wide out. I have to leave the mountains, or at least go to some beach or go to some place like Friesland.
What's it like being Frisian?
It's fantastic.
Well, I'm half Frisian. So
You can see, eh? A half. No.
Around this time of the year, people are busy coming together and with the families and with the friends. And if you fall in something of that, it could be quite nice.
the thing which is very different to the rest of Holland is the fact that when it becomes winter, Friesland is the place to be, because when it starts snowing and when it's starting to grow ice on the waters, Friesland is going a little bit mad. That's something you will not see any other place in Holland. Whoa! Sorry!
Every time around this time of year, I get the blues, the winter blues, just from seen too less sun. Every time the weather clears up and it gets cold and freezy and the skies clear up, I love it again. But days like this are hard for me. I don't like it. Or sometimes, no, many times I think, why not go to Spain? Something like that.
There are still places in Friesland where you absolutely do not hear anything but birds or the sea or the wind or whatever.
I realised something very important was going on in Friesland and went to investigate.
We're now in Gardijk, and it's in the center of Friesland. And as you can see, the people are busy doing their carpet shooting.
The lid flies off of the bus and it flies away very, very far, depending on how much carpet you use them. It's a very loud bang. It's a very loud, deep bang, which you don't get from firecrackers.
They used to put milk in the cans, and when they've had a good year, they celebrate it with shooting the carbide.
It's some hard stuff with when I believe mixed with water forms a gas, and in all the times it was used for gas lamps, like on your bike. You had two very old-fashioned lamps, and you had to pour carbide in, and then you had a light on your bike, and it's something old-fashioned, and it's well, it's been around, and it stayed because it was so much fun to shoot on New Year's Eve. The bus is the iron milk can, which was used by the corporations to collect milk from the farmers.
The iron boxes with a lid on it. You put carbide inside. It's it's a bit like dynamite. And then you wait a few seconds, and then you have an ignition. And then you get a real big explosion. And then the lid blows away. Then and then you do it again and again and again. So yeah, it's nice to hear it. It's better than fireworks, I believe.
And it has a tight-fitting lid, quite tight, like a cork in a bottle. So when the carpet has formed enough gas, you just ignite it and the lid shoots out like a cannonball from a gun.
When you don't have a rope, the lid will lift further, and then it's more fun.
Yeah, it's more for more use. They use it more in little villages on the countryside. In the bigger towns, it's not that common, but you always have few people who do it, and the police allows it with New Year's Day, and the rest of the year not, of course. But yeah, they tolerate it. It's more on the countryside. Then you have really big fields with lots of people who all have a milk can and blow their own.
They don't do it in Drenthe or in Amsterdam. They don't do this. And maybe because they don't have any milk cans, but we've got lots of it. Every generation picks it up. From 15 till 30 years, people are doing this. And then when you're 30, the fun gets off, and you don't get to lighten the cans, but you stand to the side and you look, and your son takes over.
Again, something big and something from the guys, I believe. And when they very pissed and they like to show off, they sit on the lid and get their ass boomed very hard, sometimes too hard. Then they feel a bit hard. It's This, yeah, well, I believe once again from the top guy thing. Look at me.
You have a big explosion and people like it. They don't get arrested because it's New Year's Day, so... But yeah, they don't do it a lot in town. It's ook safer to do it outside, in the countryside. And you never know how far it will blow the lid. So yeah.
It's very dangerous to do this in the street because the windows will blow or people will get hurt. So they do it in the field. And when it's in the field, it's a lot safer and no accidents can happen.
It's not really safe to give it to old people. It's not really allowed.
Carbide isn't illegal. A milk can, of course, is not illegal. So the combination of carbide and a milk can can't be very illegal. That's why it's very hard for the police to intervene.
When you get a lid on your head, it isn't possible that you will live it.
That would be an accident, I believe. And well, I believe someone has some problem now.
The lid, of course, is dangerous, but the can itself is dangerous too. When the lid doesn't come off, the can bursts. And every year, maybe sometimes 2 years, somebody is hurt or killed by a carbide can which bursts. So it is really dangerous. Even to be in a neighborhood, you never know where the lid lands, and you never know if the can bursts, yes or no.
It is illegal, but the police tolerates it because you can't do anything about it. They do it in every village, and as long as nothing bad happens, they allow it.
On New Year's Eve, it's gedoogd, the typical Dutch thing. It's forbidding, but we look the other way.
Yeah, it is dangerous. It is dangerous. But if you do it right, then you don't have to get any accidents. But every year there are a few people who are exploded in the face, or they sit on it and they get really wounded with it. Every year a few, but yeah, that's not just the same like fireworks. Every year there are a few people who hold it in their hands or put it in their ass. Or and most of the time they get arrested if they do it the days before New Year's Eve. And then it's not allowed because it's quite dangerous and noisy. And when they get arrested, yeah, I don't know what they do with it. Maybe one night in the cell or a big fine. Or, I don't know.
If the police catch you in the streets doing this, you get a choice, or you get a ticket, or the other possibility is that you can get a broom on New Year's Day, and then you have to sweep the streets. So it won't be any messy.
But I think carbide is quite safe if you do it correct. And most of the people who use carbide know how to use it. So yeah, I think it's quite safe.
Nu wel terug.
The police knows where the shootings are, but they don't intervene because it's once a year, and once a year they don't want to make trouble. Youngsters who are always brave, nice, kind guys, once a year make trouble with their carbide cans, and the police let them. They don't intervene.
I didn't yet realise it, but I was due to experience another culture shock in the form of the Ollie Bowl.
Well, you have been shooting carbidbus schieten in the backfields of Holland. I've been rising the pap.
Oliebollen, you mean? Yeah, the meal balls baked in oil. Yeah, that's quite used here. I didn't use them this year. I don't like them really much.
Every Dutch person eats one or more oliebol. Mostly more. The average Dutchman eats 3 or 4, and some people 25 or something.
Yeah, it's just like bread.
Just put these more balls in the oil and they get these funny brown balls, which are of course very fatty, and you put some sugar on it, and real party food, fat and sweet, and it fills up. But well, you eat too much of them and you feel sick quite soon, I believe. Typical old-fashioned Dutch thing.
And I like to make oliebollen because it's my tradition. I have to make them to make me feel like it's this time of year. It's near to the new year.
It's maybe handy in the winter when it's getting cold. Then you use if you eat more fat to keep warm. That's the reason they eat it a lot, I believe, from the old days.
It's a very cheap way to make food, of course. I mean, around this time of year, in the end of December, in the old days, people didn't have much to eat. I mean, there wasn't any really fresh food anymore. But you could always make an oliebol out of oil and flour and some raisins, maybe, when you were rich, I suppose. And it's very basic. It's a very basic kind of food. I think, I think the poor ate them. I put on a pan with oil. It's a normal oil from sunflower oil, very cheap. 1.5 guilders a liter.
They just made it and they put it in a big kettle with hot oil, and okay, it tastes well. Let's eat it. Like beer, they also invented it, experimenting.
To know if it's hot enough, I just spit in it a few times. Nobody knows that. I have to watch it that it don't stick to the bottom of the pan, because then it will burn up. Because first it sinks and then it starts to float again. I think the oliebollen sometimes have the strangest shapes, and they look like alienized eggs or things like this. Sometimes they even look as famous persons. You can see many things in oliebollen.
With a huge demand for great tasting oliebollen, the local bakers really were having to work flat out all night to meet it.
They make these very round and professional oliebollen. I don't think that's the real oliebol. The real oliebol is made at home. And to make it even more real, it's made by a man. Just for one time a year, the man cooks.
This evening is Old Year's Eve, what English people I think call New Year's Eve. It's the last day of the year, and the last day of the year all the people in Friesland and actually Holland are celebrating the last year. And there are lots of things to celebrate. We had lots of things happening now. So we'll celebrate our complete year by using fireworks, carbide cans, and of course, oliebollen.
By now, rendered quite deaf and frozen from the day's events, I joined a local oliebollen tasting party. Of course, the proof of the pudding is always in the tasting.
In Egypte is het al nieuwjaar.
It didn't seem long at all before it was midnight.
Happy New Year!
I love you all.
Happy New Year! When it's 12 o'clock, we don't celebrate it in our home. We go outside and celebrate it with our relatives, our street, sometimes our village, or our corner, or our neighborhood.
With the New Year's celebrations in full swing, it was time for a past master at carbide shooting to show us what he could do.
Any difference between you and them this afternoon?
No, there's no difference at all.
Okay, other than you've got wheels on your cannon.
Yes.
Are you sure this is illegal?
I'm sure it is illegal, yes.
Okay, that's not a bad thing, really.
No, it's not.
Okay, that's good. Right, how many years have you been doing this?
Oh, for about 10 years, I think.
Do you think you'll ever get bored of it?
No.
No, I don't think I would get bored of it, actually. There's nothing quite like New Year than stuffing an explosive in a tin can. Happy New Year! Then stuffing an explosive in a tin can and blowing the lid off and sending it down a railway track. I have never done this before. It is a unique experience. Most of the time I've just battled to get to a bar. Right, so about a good handful of limestone, just for the listeners, the viewers.
Just a high handful, throw it in.
We have one prepared here.
Put some water in it.
Scientific or just some water?
Just some water. It's a 70-liter can, and I did everything okay.
I think
it was good.
Dat kennen zo wel hier.
Ja.
Peter, 3 blokken erin. Water erbij. Hoef je niet telkens die om blokken te doen.
No, it's not necessary to put in more. It's just, I mean, the gas, there's not coming more gas of it. It has to be the right air and gas mixture. This is so much fun!
Nee, ik krijg hem niet meer aan de praat zo. Dan moet ik hem echt weer repareren, volgens mij.
We saw some brilliant explosions. What happened?
Well, the last blow was so hard
but it turned over the kabit can and it smashed my ignition, my safe ignition.
And with no ignition, no explosion?
No explosion.
How long is it going to take to repair?
Well, maybe a quarter of an hour or something.
Okay, but in that time, we've seen some good explosions. Are you going to do some good drinking now?
That's right. I mean, yeah, we saw some explosions. I don't like to come back and do it again. Let's see what's happening in town.
That sounds like a good. Sounds like a good idea. In the meantime, cheers.
Okay, cheers. We're still alive.
Still alive, yeah, and with our hands. That's
This is good stuff.
Explosions were good stuff. We like that.
Yep.
The fireworks are absolutely amazing. This is how to spend New Year. It's spent in Holland. A lot of fireworks, a lot of boozing, a lot of booze. We're going to go with crew, and I'm going to go and find a disco. We're going to go and find a DJ. We're going to go and find a hot chick each, and we're going to do some snogging. It's been a good year. A lot of good history. A lot of good traditions. We like that. Thank you, and good night.